Greetings and welcome to part 3 of the introduction to ethical hacking. We now understand how computers communicate, which means that we should be ready to start attacking. But we won't go anywhere if we do not have any kind of tools. So we should set up our toolkit, and the easiest way to set that up is thanks to virtual machines. A virtual machine is a way to emulate a physical computer. In essence, it is a piece of software that tricks the guest operating systems such as Windows to think that it is a machine by reproducing the inner working of modules that makes up a computer, such as the NIC, the CPU, the memory, and the list goes on. That piece of software is called a hypervisor. Hypervisors come in two flavors called Type 1 and Type 2. In Type 1, the hypervisor is installed and communicates directly with the hardware, whereas in Type 2, an operating system is installed on the computer, and the hypervisor is simply a program, like all the others, and it has to communicate with the operating system for sharing resources. Of course, a Type 2 hypervisor will perform less than a Type 1, but we do not want to erase our whole computer just to learn penetration testing. We can install all sorts of operating systems, Windows XP, 7, macOS, Linux, or BSD, among many others. The one we are going to install is a Linux distribution, more specifically Kali Linux. We are using it because it is one of the easiest systems to use to get started into penetration testing, and it will include a variety of tools pre-installed. In order to be able to run virtual machines, you first have to enable virtualization functionality on your CPU. For this, we have to access the computer's BIOS, which is the piece of firmware that checks that everything is running fine and initializes everything before your operating system boots up. To access the BIOS, you first have to reboot your computer and continuously tap a specific key on your keyboard. Depending on your computer, the key can be different. For some, it will be F12, F8, F2, or even the delete or escape key. If you're unsure, there are two methods that you can use. Either you search online how to access the BIOS regarding your specific computer model, or you do it like me and you continuously sweep the row from F1 to F12 until you are met with a specific screen. This screen might look like this, or it might look all blue and grey depending on how old your computer is. Once you reach that stage, you have to search for a feature called either Intel VTX, VMX, AMDV, or anything that looks like a combination of the words virtualization and technology. Once the feature is enabled, you should exit while saving changes and go back to your Windows session. Let's jump to VirtualBox and click the big blue Download VirtualBox button. Let's select our host machine, which is Windows, and let's also download the VirtualBox extension pack. Once that's done, let's also browse to kali.org and you will be greeted with a download button. You have to select it and you have different options. We have to select the installer images and we have to download this one there, installer in 64-bit. Let's choose these normal download options instead of the torrent one. Okay, we are almost done. We just need to assemble the pieces. Now that everything is downloaded, we have to install VirtualBox. Now that VirtualBox is installed, we can install the extension pack and click Install. Now let's create our virtual machine. In order to create a new virtual machine, let's click on the New button. It will ask us for the name of the virtual machine. We are just going to call it Kali. And let's select the ISO image. So the ISO image is in the download folder. So let's get to it. And let's select Kali Linux. Now let's skip and let's allocate some memory. It will all depend on what you have available. Let's also allocate a bit of disk size, let's say 50 gigabytes if you can. And let's click Next. And now we can start our virtual machine by clicking on Start.